Hey everyone, I'm Selena Hill, the Deputy Digital Editor at Black Enterprise. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with a legendary actor and producer, Morgan Freeman, and epic actor Frankie Faison about their new project, The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain. Now, this film is a powerful story about the real life police killing of a 68-year-old Black Marine veteran by police in his own home in White Plains, New York, back in 2011. Now, Mr. Freeman, you are the executive producer of this very gripping movie that replays the last few hours of Mr. Chamberlain's life before he was tasered and then fatally shot by police. What drew you to this project?
Well, it was sent to us as Revelations, and we sat and watched it. We knew we were told, apprised of the fact that it did not have distribution. So we thought, okay, we got to get on board here and get this out to the public. So that's primarily what we're trying to do here, just distribute it, get it out, get it seen.
Yeah, and I think, it's so important because not only does this movie need to get out, but the message behind it and just the real life murder of Kenneth Chamberlain. Mr. Faison, you and I were talking off camera about how neither one of us knew about this murder, even though we were both living in close proximity when it happened in 2011. Tell me, how does it feel to play a character and play in a film this monumental?
Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be able to do it or to have done it. And it feels necessary, but it also feels very scary because it feels as if this could happen to him, it could happen to me.
Yeah.
And so many people that I know, because I'm of that age and, it's just the way things are. And that's what we want to try to bring attention to.
It's just the way things are. There it is. However, I don't think it could happen to me, Frankie, because I was in the Shawshank Redemption.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, but Mr. Freeman, and you also play a monumental role in this too, as executive producer and just even, doing press rounds. So just raise awareness about this. What is it that you think or you want the audience to walk away from after watching this film, to walk away with?
If we get wide enough coverage on this, we're hoping, the big hope is that there'll be a big push for police reform. Policing as we have known it, I guess, since the beginning of policing in this country, has not been a merciful operation, particularly in the Black community. And the poorer the community, the more chance there was going to be of people being shot and killed for little or no reason. So there is a possibility that through the electoral process, or we've started a department in the legal department of Ole Miss that's going to address this issue. It is set up to address it. And a lot of people are signing on that they agree that this is a great idea, that we should be doing it. So hopefully this movie shines a brighter light on the subject.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And, I heard you say in the past, Mr. Freeman, that you are not actually for defunding police, but more so for a transformation. Can you just clarify what your
No,
stance
I'm
is?
not in the least bit for defunding the police. Uh, Police work is, aside from all the negativity around it, it is very necessary for us to have them. And most of them are guys that are doing their job. They're going about their day-to-day jobs. There was some policemen who would never even pull their guns, except on the range. So that sort of thing. Um, I don't know.
Hmm. Mr. Faison, again, you play this character, a Black man, unarmed man who was killed in his own home. Have your views on policing changed? What's your stance on policing and, of course, the defund the police movement?
Well, I agree with Morgan. I'm certainly not in favor of defunding the policemen. But at the same time, I also have to, like Morgan said, because he was in the Shawshank Redemption, not going to happen to him. And we as entertainment people in the arts, we're treated a little differently by law enforcement than people who are just ordinary walks of life. So
Yeah.
it's like very unlikely that, if police officers recognize you from film and television or athletics or music or anything, they treat you differently. And I would like for that to stop. I want us all to be treated equally because it's necessary. Because once you started differentiating between this person and that, you're not going to have fair.
That group.
Not at all. So it's like very unlikely that, if they came to my door and that kind of thing happened, I would say something like, "Hey, do you know who I am? Have you seen my latest film or something?" In a way. But I would resort to that if I felt that I was being threatened, and so you can't, have too much visibility for you to do this to me. But at the same time, there may be that those officers who could come to my door who've never heard of me, or those officers who come to my door who really don't care. And then I would find myself in a very similar situation. And it's like, I want to shed light on that aspect of police involvement with the community of civilians, especially the Black community, where, so many things have happened, atrocities.
Mm-hmm. But
And let me just butt in here, Selena, to say that this performance by Kenneth, I'm hoping that he gets a nomination for it because it's right up there, just totally.
Oh, absolutely. Your performance, Mr. Faison, was ravishing. After watching the film, I was so upset because I felt every minute. It was a 90-minute film that replays the last 90 minutes of Kenneth Chamberlain's life. And you did such a wonderful job. I actually read or heard that in your preparation, you did not speak with Mr. Chamberlain's family, nor did you rewatch the real police videos. Tell us why and what you did do to connect to the character.
Well, a lot of it goes to the background of who I am as an actor. I mean, I really, and this script was presented to me as a story, and then I found out it was a story about a real person. And if the writer does his job and the actor does his job, then that real person will surface. He will come out of the work that I'm doing. So I didn't feel it necessary to talk to his family. I didn't feel it necessary to hear his sounds because, as I've said in other interviews, I think that there's a universal sound. Certain sounds are universal. Sounds of terror, sounds of outrage, sounds of joy, sounds of happiness, sounds of desperation and fear. And no matter who's given those sounds, if it's in a true situation, they're going to always sound similar. So I didn't feel it necessary to see any of that. I trusted the script, I trusted the director, and I trusted my instincts to get to where I needed to get with this character.
Did you find anything particularly challenging about this role?
Yeah, everything. Every single thing. This was by far the most challenging, demanding, physically, emotionally, mentally role that I've ever done, sustained over a sustained period like this. And it hurt, my body hurt.
Mm.
Body hurt. And this is not a big Hollywood budgeted film. This was a very modestly budgeted film. People came there working because they wanted to work on this film. The conditions were, there was no break for no luxurious luxury. I'm in a little room, up in a dirty little room, which all aided me in finding the performance I did. But it hurt. It hurt to be there with that. And it even hurts now every time I see the film. It hurts me because I'm seeing not myself, but I'm seeing this man going through this situation, and it is painful, very, very painful. And it's the first film that I can recall where you see the last 2 hours in real time. You get to see the victim before, he is totally, victimized and killed. So yes, it hurts. And I guess they say if you're going to do something and do it well, it's going to hurt. And so that's what I feel. So,
Mr. Freeman, how did you react watching the film? How did you feel?
When you first go into a film like this thinking, what is this about? Because I hadn't heard of Kenneth Chamberlain at all, or the incident. But in watching this performance, total, the whole picture, the police, the guys who played the police, and Frankie, his outstanding work. I'm like everybody else. I'm moved to the core, just to the core. This isn't altogether new to us in the community. People die. We saw the whole thing with George Floyd, a year ago. But this is sort of in your face situation. One that you can say, everybody can say, oh, wow, now, why did that happen? That's one of that did not at all have to go down the way it did. So why did it? And I'm hoping that as a result of this movie, one of the answers to that would be untrained officers, not trained for this particular type of encounter with the public.
Absolutely. And as we begin to wrap our conversation, I did just also want to get both of your final thoughts on why it's so important to depict stories like this in Hollywood. We'll start with you, Mr. Faison. You told me off camera that after this, you're also working on the Emmett Till story as well and bringing that to light. So why is it so important for us to continue to tell these stories in Hollywood?
Well, it's important because Hollywood has a large audience base and people need to see. And the more people who see and hear this story, the more possibility for change to occur, is there. So that's why I do it. I think that I love to tell stories. I'm a storyteller, and that's part of keeping history alive and moving it forward. And so hopefully that will happen with this film.
And Mr. Freeman, why would you say it's important? And also for you at this stage of your career to continue to even pour yourself into films like this in some capacity?
Well, let's start off with the fact that I'm Black. I too am Black. And I am thoroughly aware that these situations do not occur with any regularity in the white community. They occur with unseemly regularity in the Black community. I'm concerned about the fact that we can just accept that. The police shot a guy. he had his hands had his hands up, or he was running away, or he supposedly have been armed and he wasn't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is very prevalent in the Black community. And somehow or other, we have to move that complacency to a point where people just don't accept it. And one of the ways not to accept it is to readdress how we train police.
Absolutely. It was such an honor speaking with both of you today. I want to encourage our audience to see The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain now. It is out. You can access it. Again, it is a Oscar-worthy film, to say the least. And it's also, it plays a really big role in the greater movement to make sure that we are protecting the lives of Black lives in all capacities. So thank you again, both of you, for your time and the work that you're doing.